Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to our honorable speaker, Dr. Johari bin Abdullah from Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, and also to all participants. Today we will have our third series for CALM AI Hub webinar for 2024 with the title of Power of Generation AI, Transforming Ideas into Reality. So with us today, we have Associate Professor Dr. Johari bin Abdullah, and he's from a Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. Okay, so before we start, there are some friendly reminders. The first one, turn off your microphone during the session so that we will have a very smooth webinar. And then feel free to type your questions in the chat box if you have any. And your questions will be entertained at the end of our session today. Before we start our webinar, I would like to introduce our honorable speaker for today. So we have Associate Professor Dr. Johari bin Abdullah. He's currently an Associate Professor at the Faculty of Computer Science and IT, UNIMAS Sarawak. He got his PhD in Computing Science from Newcastle University, his Masters of IT from Queensland University, Brisbane, Australia, and last but not least, the Bachelor of Computer Science in Networking from University Putra, Malaysia. Talking about his interest is more towards the ICT, is wide-ranging from deep learning, generative AI, cybersecurity, trusted system, blockchain technology, web system design and development, system architecture, problem solving using tools such as trees, ICT education for children and youth, through computational thinking, Scratch and Computer Science Unplugged, and also open source system and software. For our talk today, it is more towards the foundational theories of AI, providing a comprehensive understanding of its core principle. And also the key highlight of this webinar today will include how generative AI can be harnessed in the educational domain to enhance our teaching and learning experiences, where we will, we can use the generative AI to create our course outlines and plans to generate compelling images for our lecture slides. And also we can develop entire presentation deck. And last but not least, to formulate our exam questions. Here are the skeleton of the content. There are 14 key points or key content for today. And we will have our interactive question and answer session at the end of the webinar later. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Johari to start the webinar.
All right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Very good morning, bright Wednesday morning today. Today is 7th of August 2024. First of all, thank you very much to our moderator, Dr. Dayang Karunisa. And also, of course, especially to all the participants, academicians, fellow academicians, pensyarah-pensyarah. I can see some familiar names in the participant list and also a lot of unfamiliar names. As you grow older, I think you lost a bit of touch with the outside world. In any case, thank you very much for spending your valuable time here to probably gain a bit of knowledge about our topic today, generative AI, and how AI can probably assist you in your teaching and learning activities. You can download the slide from the QR code you can scan. I also shared in the chat box, and later probably I can show again the QR code and also the download links. Feel free to go through. And of course, even though we have interactive Q&A at the end of the session, feel free to post your question in the chat box during the talk itself so that I can answer straight away. Usually by the end of the talk, we are quite tired already, kan? So if you have any question during the talk itself, feel free to post in the chat box. So let's get started. We have around 2 hours plus-ish, plus minus. What's the idea about the talk today? One thing about the talk today is probably the most hotly discussed topic, AI and generative AI. And we have to thank CALM and also other parties in UMass, the CDO office, Tahoe DC, ULC, and so on, for having all these initiatives to provide additional information and knowledge. There is a series of talk session from internal speaker and also external speaker as well. And if you attend my talk on Monday, unfortunately, I'm recycling some of the content from Monday. Monday, I gave a talk about AI, generative AI / ChatGPT to the PNP and support staff. And the bulk of the content is almost the same apart from the use cases. So if you attended that talk, I have to apologize, I have to repeat all over again. In any case, hopefully this is something beneficial to you. So fellow academician, dah habis marking ke? This is the time where you have to sit for your exam board meeting and present the result. And after this, you have slightly breathing room before the start of next semester, which is October 7, 2024. So most of the images generated in this slide, of course, from AI. We mentioned one or two that probably is not generated from AI. So what we will do today, there are five parts of the talk. I think the first three is quite unidirectional, or just one direction from me. And use cases is probably something that you can start to participate. Either you have your own ideas and thought about generative AI. And I believe some of you probably have experienced ataupun explored the usage of generative AI in your teaching and learning, or maybe just to try out about ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I think, is synonymous with generative AI, even though the domain of generative AI is huge and wide. But when we talk to people, mostly you will maybe know about ChatGPT alone, but there are more to that. And some of the slides will explore some other modality beside the text generative AI. The key to generative AI is number 3, prompt engineering. So we look at some of the current framework on how to craft a good prompt when you ask this generative AI chat agent like ChatGPT. And use cases, this is where I will present some of the useful usage of ChatGPT, particularly with regards to teaching and learning, how to come up with course outline, how to brainstorm for ideas, how to come up with exam question, and so on and so on. And the last one, whether we like it or not, there are a lot of implications, not just for the students when they use ChatGPT, but for us also as educators, whether our job as educator is still relevant, and what are the ethical guidelines for us as well. So if you tell the student that they have to adhere to certain rules and guidelines when they use ChatGPT, I think for us as well, there should be a set of guidelines for us to adhere as well. There are two different things, rules and ethics. Rules is something that we have to follow. Ethics, usually there is a gray line. All right, this is me. Again, AI generated. I've been with UNIMAS since the year 2000, so 24th year. Some of you probably slightly older than me, or slightly longer in UNIMAS than me, but I can see most of the names, familiar names, but I think there are a lot also the younger generation. Feel free to contact me either through WhatsApp or through emails if you have any further question, or if you want to collaborate further when it comes to generative AI. So let's look into AI itself. I think we need to understand the history behind AI before we can appreciate the technology behind generative AI and also how to use AI properly. When it comes to AI, usually when it comes to Hollywood movies, AI is always portrayed as malevolent entities, satu entity yang jahat. And if you look at the logic behind this theme where AI is malevolent, jahat, I think there's a logic behind it. And later we'll see one slide that explain about the different type of AI. So we assume AI in the future, it will either be as intelligent as human, or it will surpass human intelligence. So assume maybe in 2047, 2050, 2100, an AI wakes up from his sleep, and then he sees around the world, then he looks at the world, and there's a lot of distraction. So AI being AI, and they follow logical rules, not emotional rules, it will look at what is the root cause of the problem. What are the cause of all the distraction in the world? And the answer to that is very simple: human being. And what do? If you want to solve the root cause of problem? Eliminate human being, as simple as that. But when we as a human look at certain problem, usually apart from the logical point of view, we also consider emotion, maybe gut feeling and so on. So that's why in most Hollywood movies, I haven't seen any AI which is portrayed as good. And there are so many Hollywood movies, I think more than 100 plus. And some of them is quite accurate in terms of portraying AI, whether the character itself or the technology itself. And let's look at Industrial Revolution and why this is important. We are in the fourth Industrial Revolution. If we rewind the time and goes back to the first Industrial Revolution back in 1700, the main motivation of all the Industrial Revolution is actually very simple and it's actually quite scary. Who actually wants Industrial Revolution? It's not the poor people, it's actually the capitalists, the rich people. And the main motivation for them for having an Industrial Revolution is to remove the dependency on human. Human, even though we are, I think, a beautiful creation in a lot of ways, but we also come with, I would say, defects ataupun weaknesses, not defects, weaknesses, which is, I think, part and parcel of being human. Human, of course, need to sleep, need to eat, need to rest, need to have leisure time and so on. And from productivity point of view, that doesn't gel well. So the rich people, the capitalists, those that own the factory and so on back in the 1700, wants to depend less on human. So that one is a logical point of view. So when you look at each industrial revolution, usually there are a few common themes. First, you have to look what is the technology breakthrough. Second, what is the invention? And third, what are the industry affected? And of course, the last one, why they want to do it. So in the first industrial revolution, is actually related to cotton industry in Great Britain. Why cotton? Because cotton is high value commodity. During that time, there is no synthetic material, there is no polyester, there is no rayon and so on. So cotton is only the source of material for clothing production. That's why it sought high value. But the industry during that time fully depended on human labor, from harvesting the cotton from the field to the pre-processing of the cotton in the factory itself. Everything is done by human labor. So as I mentioned just now, human come with all these weaknesses, and of course the rich people are not happy about it. So during that time, one of the technological breakthrough is steam technology or steam invention. So from steam, they come out with all this machinery and mechanization that use steam power, and the rest is history. So they can reduce the dependency on human, rely on this machinery to automate most of the tasks. And the fourth point just now, very simple, reduce dependency on human, reduce the cost, and at the end of the day, increase productivity, and of course, increase the profit. As simple as that. When you move to the second industrial revolution, it now shifts to United States. Industry affected is the automobile industry, the Ford factory. That one is one of the regular use case for the second industrial revolution. And the technology breakthrough is the electricity power. So again, the same theme, increase automation, reduce dependency on human, increase productivity, and increase profit. And across all these industrial revolution, two things will happen. There'll be job losses. That one is a given fact, and there'll be job creation as well. So all this machinery, all this new technology require a higher level of skills, and you need a new job for that. Second industrial revolution is same thing. There are many job losses, but there are, at the same time, there are many new job created, but you need to upskill or reskill. The third industrial revolution is around 1970s. Malaysia is at the center of it. In the third industrial revolution. If you go to Shah Alam during this time, 80s and 90s, that is the center for manufacturing in Malaysia. Why? The cost of labor is low, but we have highly skilled people. And that continues until a certain period. But after that, I think due to the increasing costs for the labor, then they shift somewhere else. But we are still heavily dependent on manufacturing. So the third industrial revolution, 1970, is still in the United States. The technology breakthrough is introduction of electronics and IT, automated production. And we are currently in the fourth industrial revolution, coined by Professor Klaus Schwab, whom is the chairman for WEF, World Economic Forum. So back in 2016, he gave the opening talk at the Geneva Summit. So every year WEF will convene in Geneva to talk about a lot of things. So back in 2016, he came up with this speech and introduced the term the fourth industrial revolution. And there is a book about it. If you search, maybe you can download the book titled The Fourth Industrial Revolution. So that is the official, I would say, term for the fourth industrial revolution. But if you look at the history again, the actual starting point for the fourth IR goes down to 2006 in Germany. So German are the one that come up with the idea of IR 4.0, the 9 pillars of technology, the big data analytic, the AR, VR, and so on and so on. There are 9 pillars of technology. But it is the same thing. Reduce dependency on human, increase automation, and at the end, of course, increase the profit. So at the end of the day, the rich become richer, and unfortunately, the poor become poorer. So that's the fact about industrial revolution. So why this is related to us when it comes to AI? AI is still within the fourth IR or the fourth industrial revolution. And I think the challenge is, which I feel that all of us is experiencing, the rate of which things are progressing is very, very fast. Even for us in the domain of computer science, directly in the center of all this technology, we are also trying to catch up about AI. We used to talk about changes in IT or evolution in IT, maybe a yearly basis, and then goes down to 6-month basis, and then a few month basis. But with AI, if you follow the news and the development of AI, it's happening on daily basis actually. Almost every single day, there is a new breakthrough, either in terms of the algorithm, the models, and so on and so on. So why human is bad? Maybe not the right word. As I mentioned, human come with weaknesses, even though we are good at certain things, but at the same time, we inherit some of the weaknesses. So to be human is to err. Where does that come from actually? From somewhere, I cannot recall. So robot can work 24/7. Robot doesn't have to go for coffee break. Saya ada robot di depan Unimas for coffee break. Robot doesn't use social media. Robot doesn't have a bad day. Monday blues ke, whatever it is. Robot are not distracted by the latest drama at home or in the office. Robot doesn't membawang. Robot can do a better job in the fraction of time, very fast. But there is one big issue actually. Even though robots are very good at all those, but there is one big issue. Robot is not intelligent, or back to the term computers. So let's use the standard term computers. Since the beginning of computing history, if you go back to 1947, the first electronic computers named ENIAC, the size of the huge room and the power of maybe a fraction of the calculator that you have today. But that's the beginning of the electronic computing as we know of. But they are dumb. Computer, if you open any computer, it's mainly metals. When I say computer, it is tablet. Your smartphone is also a computer, and of course the computer as you know it. But they are dumb. They are made of plastic. They are made of metals, and that's it. It's not intelligent at all. What it is good at, and the name computer comes from, is to compute, mengira. So based on the design, it can make computation billions and billions of what do you call it, iteration per second. What's the term they use actually? MBIF or something like that. I forgot actually. Billions of calculation per second is not 1 minute, but per second. So they're very good at that. And the second thing, they don't make errors. As long as they have power, electricity, and you ask them to do computation, they will keep repeating it until it dies, until it burn out or something like that. But that seldom happen. So since the beginning of electronic computers, the researcher in this domain, the AI researcher, computer researcher, and so on, has been obsessed how to make this dumb computer as smart as human. Human, even though we inherit all the weaknesses, we are still very good at doing a lot of things, especially analog activity. What is analog activity? Our five senses. The vision, when we look at something, we can recognize. And when you hear something, we can also recognize. When you touch something, you can differentiate between object, the sense of taste and the sense of smell, and the five senses of human being. And those are all analog. It's not one and zero. Computers or computing is essentially one and zero. So there are contradiction actually between these two entities, the human and the computer. So they've been obsessed how to make computer as smart as human. Very simple question, but has been the object of obsession for the past 60 years. So if you look at the timeline for AI research, it's not something new. I'm not an expert in AI research. I have to make that disclaimer. And some of my colleagues in this talk, I can see Dr. Irwandi ada, siapa lagi, kena sebut nama ni, and some of the engineering also, and some from FSKPM. We have a few AI researchers, I think from FIT alone or FCSIT, we have around 14. FSKPM, there is a group there, the cognitive science, engineering also, there are a few, and maybe some other areas as well. And they focus on different aspects of AI research, machine learning, deep learning, and so on. But it's not something new, but there is a few breakthrough. If you play chess, remember in 2010 or 2012, I cannot recall exactly, Deep Blue from IBM defeat Gary Kasparov, the chess grandmaster. And after that, 2016, I think the Go game was the name of, forgot already, the machine that defeat the player from Korea. So between Go game and chess, Go is much complex actually, and so on and so on. But there is one thing that AI cannot do very well prior to 2016, which is language recognition, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Now let's talk about the different type of AI. So as I mentioned just now, AI is not new. The usage of AI in several domains has been, I think, used maybe 15, 20 years ago with different level of accuracy, of course. But these are the three levels of AI. So the AI that we are using at the moment, let's say you use Google search, for example, you type something, you get the output or the result. The backend is actually AI powered. Google have their own algorithm, the PageRank algorithm, and so on, but they are all AI powered. When you are using Facebook or any social media, Instagram, TikTok, and so on, there is an AI algorithm that looks into your pattern of usage, and this is how you get all the FYP in your TikTok and whatever it is. Now, if you want to do a bit of a simple experiment, and this is a scary thing, maybe you do not know that the three social media, the Instagram, Facebook, and also WhatsApp, is owned by the same entity, which is Meta/Facebook. Zuckerberg lah, Mark Zuckerberg. So if you type something in your WhatsApp with someone that you know or someone you doesn't know, doesn't matter. Sometimes if you go back to your other social media, let's say Facebook or Instagram, then you probably start to see content related to what you communicate or talk about in your WhatsApp. Why? Because they are owned by the same company and all the data is being used cross-reference to know what you do in one platform in order to push you with the content in another platform. So that is actually very scary. I tried a few times. So whatever I talk in WhatsApp, and it will appear in either the Facebook stream ataupun the Instagram stream, depending on the timing itself. So coming back to our discussion, this ANI or the weak AI, what it does is to solve a very particular problem. For example, in health, AI has been used to detect cancer. There are 5 types of cancer now, where the specialist is using AI to assist them. Just to give you one example, breast cancer, the human specialist at the moment, the rate of detection is around 90%, which is quite good, not too bad. So they look at your CAT scan or MRI scan, I'm not sure which one, but one of the type of scan, and the specialist can diagnose. But the challenge is how fast they can do it. usually maybe 3 to 4 days or even a week for them to really diagnose whether there is a potential cancerous cell or tumor. But when it comes to AI, and it has been proven, and there are many research papers that support this. Now the level of accuracy for AI cancer detection is around 95%, which is quite high, higher than the human specialist. For this type of cancer, I cannot recall exactly, I think breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and there's another two, which I cannot recall. But still the procedure at the moment, no matter what tools that you use, you still need the green light from the specialist, human specialist, in order to confirm the diagnosis. But this is weak AI, and it is being used in all type of domain, in agriculture, smart farming, in manufacturing, and so on and so on. But they can do only one thing very well. And our objective is to go up to the human level. As a human, we can be expert in a few things and general knowledge as well. So the next step of evolution, and the current one that you're using, if you think that the ChatGPT is smart, no, that one is still not the level of the next one, AGI. In fact, there are some researchers that claim that the current AI technology is actually dumb. They can do a lot of things good, but it's actually not really intelligence per se. I will discuss a little bit after this. So what is AGI? AGI basically is to achieve human level intelligence. It can actually understand a lot of things well. And of course, the ultimate goal is ASI, super intelligent. This is surpassing human intelligence. And this is what being portrayed in the Hollywood movies, where they become super intelligent. What is the timeline? And this is the scary part. Rick as well, computer scientist from US, he wrote 2 books. This is his second book, The Singularity is Near, and he came up with this term, singularity. What is singularity? Singularity is when AI surpasses human intelligence. When that will happen, this is the scary part. Some of you, the younger one, 2045-ish. How old I am now? Tambah. Mungkin masih hidup kot kalau umur panjang. And then the second level just now, the AGI, whereby AI probably will reach the same level as human, prediction from him, and he has been accurate so far, plus minus 1 to 3 years, to 2027, 3 years from now. And that is supported by OpenAI. OpenAI, if you use ChatGPT, the current model is GPT-4 and 4o, and the next model is GPT-5, either sometime this year ataupun early next year. And based on the talk given by the Vice President, Mira Murali, we probably will have ChatGPT or GPT-5 model the level of intelligence equivalent to PhD holder. Kan? Kita mati-mati belajar 3, 4, 5, 6 tahun untuk habiskan PhD. This AI achieve the level of PhD holder intelligence in the next model, which is another few months. Interesting, exciting, but scary at the same time. So what will happen? Nobody knows. If we look at the Hollywood movie, then I guess AI will kill us all. And there is one movie, and there is also one science fiction writer, Isaac Asimov. Probably some of you have read his book, The 3 Rules of Robot. And there is one movie about that, The I, Robot. So in that novel or science fiction, he wrote about the 3 rules of robot. Robot cannot harm human and so on and so on. But in the movie I, Robot, somehow the robot bypassed the 3 rules of robot through evolution on its own. So I guess the world is currently scrambling to come up with a guideline, ethical AI usage. EU, for example, already come up with a guideline and the rules as well. US, I think probably very soon, and Malaysia probably, I don't know. Haven't heard about the guideline for AI. I mean, there are some guideline even at the KPT level. I'm not sure whether you're aware that KPT released a guideline on generative AI use. Later I will show to you. I just got to know about it maybe yesterday. In fact, it was released, I think, sometime early this year. So singularity. Now, advantage of AI, as I mentioned, some of it already mentioned just now, human error reduction. they don't make mistake, which is not entirely true. And if you look at ChatGPT, there is a problem called hallucination. Maybe you heard about it, whereby AI will give you an answer, but not correct at all. So that is still something that they're trying to solve. But I've seen some of the AI model like Claude AI from Anthropic have reduced the severity of hallucination. ChatGPT must say, but I think it's also reduced. So they're working on that. What is hallucination? I will talk about that a bit later. Availability, of course, 24/7. You don't have to depend on human. Impartial decision. What is impartial decision? This is a double-edged sword. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. Meaning that there is no bias when you talk to AI or ask AI, ChatGPT for an answer. It doesn't have any emotion. So whatever answer that it provides to you is usually based on how it works, the logic and the large language model. But for us humans, sometimes we have to take into consideration some of the probably external factors, and sometimes we use emotion in our judgment. And I'm not sure whether that is acceptable, but yes, we do take into consideration emotional aspect as well in decision making. So coming back to the disadvantage, of course, lack of emotion is one of them, and the other one is lack of creativity. Just now I saw nama Prof. Wan Jamarul. Masih ada ke Prof. Wan? Macam ada kan? So Prof. Wan is from the creative arts. Selalu nampak Prof. Wan dalam dia punya makmal dia ataupun dalam dia studio doing his work. So before I come to that point, so in the world of AI, there are two schools of thoughts. Not everybody is supporting AI. Not because they don't believe, don't get me wrong, all of these people that you see on the screen, these are all technologists and computer scientists. They believe in AI technology. They know AI technology works. But the one that said not so fast, the late Stephen Hawking, the physicist, Bill Gates, of course you know Bill Gates, Microsoft, and so on and so on. And at the bottom, the purplish color line, Ray Kurzweil, as I mentioned just now, he's the author of The Singularity. Of course, dia memang kamcing dengan AI. Mark Zuckerberg, of course, Meta, he's also very pro of AI. Andrew Ng is currently, I think, attached to MIT. He's one of the key figure in AI research. Yan LeCun used to be from University of Toronto. He moved to Stanford, if I'm not mistaken. And he's also currently now the technology advisor to Meta. He is the one that mentioned the current AI is not intelligent. He said the AI now is basically mimicking or just repeating things. Larry Page is, of course, from Google, and so on and so on. So why there are two school of thoughts? Yang atas, the green one, not so fast. They believe AI without a proper guardrail, something that can regulate AI usage, is very dangerous. Termasuk Elon Musk lah. He's also kind of against AI, not because he doesn't believe AI. He come up with his own AI model, generative AI, actually, under X called Grok, G-R-O-K. But he also believes that the current landscape of AI doesn't have sufficient protection in terms of regulation. Yang bawah tu dia tak kira lah. So why this is dangerous? Because back to the one I mentioned just now. What if AI become so intelligent, and what we can do to either control it or stop it? So there is a mention of coming up with the kill switch. You press a button, you can kill all the AI. Technology-wise, almost impossible to do, but they are looking into that. So these are the two school of thoughts. What AI can do, as I mentioned, a lot of things, many things. And some of the colleagues from FSKM and from FCSIT is doing research related to some of this sentiment analysis, pattern recognition, image recognition, and so on and so on. But there is one domain, even myself did not believe that AI can do well. So if you ask me back in 2022, I will say no to creative domain. What does it mean? Can AI do something creative? Can I write novels? Can AI write essay? Can AI create image? Can AI create music/audio? Can AI generate video? Because all those things that I mentioned require some form of creativity. So I always believe that AI cannot be creative because that is the sole domain of human being. But my belief was trash. Not to say that I consider as the same level. And I spent a lot of time back in 2023, even now, to look into the image generation platform. So I was looking into Midjourney. Some of you probably look at Midjourney or tried Midjourney, DALI. If you use Copilot ataupun ChatGPT yang berbayar, you can generate image. The engine behind it is DALI. Now it's DALI 3. And of course, one of the option is Stable Diffusion. And now it's dead, unfortunately. But I've been investing a lot of time into that. So my question is, can all these AI platform generate something equivalent to the human? So that's why I did and still try to work with people from the creative arts and see whether it is the same actually, because the implication is huge. And from the commercial perspective, and of course, one of the biggest debate at the moment, which I'm not involved in, between the so-called AI artists and the traditional artists. So dalam Facebook ada satu group nama dia Prompters Malaya, whereby they generate all the images and so on. Not all of them want to be called artists, and I don't call myself artist, even though I can generate our images, because artists, I think you need to go through the process of learning and what do you call it, menggunakan, practicing for X number of years before you can be called an artist. So that's not my intention. There is a lot of debate on social media now, whether you can be called an artist or not if you use all these AI platforms. So your job is just to type, and then it will generate the image and so on. Maybe Prof. Wan can comment later. But when I use this, and maybe I want to test all of you, 1 second. Can you actually detect whether the images being generated is by human or by AI? So there are 20 images. You yourself decide and count yourself how many you get right and how many you get wrong. Sekejap, mana saya punya mouse? Okay, alamak. Oops, that's a problem having multiple monitors. Okay, let's try. So which one is AI, which one is human? Maybe 5 seconds, you decide yourself and count yourself. Sometimes I forgot also which one is AI, which one is human. So this one, actually, the left one generated by AI, the right one, human artist, probably using tablet or digital media. Left is AI, right is human. This one, right is AI, left is human. Right is AI, left is human. I think this one's straightforward, and almost everybody get it correct. Left is AI, right is human. Too perfect to be true, the left one. This one, again, let me see. Sometimes I also don't remember. Right is human, left is AI. Right is human, left is AI. This one, right is AI, left is human. All these are generated using Stable Diffusion SDXL. This one, siapa yang ada motosikal mungkin tahu kot defect dia kat mana kan. B2 to be full, siapa nak buat. This one, right is AI, left is human. Right is AI, left is human. What's the time? Oh, okay, still okay. This one, right is AI, left is human. Right is AI, left is human. This one, sekejap. Right is AI, left is human. Okay. This one. So what is interesting, when I showed this to the creative people during the mini film festival, was it 3 weeks ago, where the participant mostly have some creative background. Mostly they can detect which one is AI and which one is human. But when I ask, how do you detect? They cakap, ada lah. And so this one is right is AI, left is human. This one, I think you can guess. Right is AI. Too clean to be true. Left is human. Of course, the left one I got it from the internet. A human photographer back in the Industrial Revolution. Of course, the quality is not good, and the right one is generated by AI. But there is a way to mimic the poor quality image in old photograph using AI. But I didn't have time to try that. This one, left is AI, right is human. So a few things and telltale sign if you want to differentiate, but the one I cannot guarantee it will last forever. So the weakness about the AI image generated platform at the moment, there are two things. One is text. Text is always very difficult. And the other one is, of course, the limbs, the finger and the feet. Finger is the most obvious. So that's why most of the time, if you look at AI images, you can detect some defect in terms of the fingers and maybe the text as well. So this one, the left is AI. I think there is some defect on the finger, the fingernail and so on. But sometimes people don't pay attention to that kind of details. This one, right is AI, left is human photograph. Oh, this one is tough, I think. Sekejap. This one, right is AI, left is human. Here, right is AI, left is human. This one, I think, straightforward. Studio shot, right is AI, left is human. Right is AI, left is human. This one, right is AI, left is human photograph. Right is AI, left is human. This one also, I think you can guess the left one is too perfect. So left is AI, right is human. And this one product shot, you can guess again, right, you can see the text is not perfect. So right is actually generated by AI and left is human. This one, animation sketch, let me try to think. Right is AI, left is human. Oh, this one of the danger of AI, face swapping. Look like me, but it's not me. Famous quote from someone, passed away already, unfortunately. So how many you get correct? 100%. Creative domain, not the topic of discussion today. Now, a little bit about AI, ML, and DL. AI, artificial intelligence, kecerdasan buatan, ML, machine learning, and DL, deep learning. They are under the same group of domain. AI is the umbrella, machine learning is under AI, and deep learning is under machine learning. I will explain a little bit about the differences. When it comes to the current topic that we are discussing, which is Gen AI or generative AI, it falls under deep learning actually. But there is one compulsory element ataupun something that power this generative AI, something called LLM, large language model. What is LLM? After this, I will explain a little bit. So you must have LLM in order for generative AI to work. So Gen AI is under deep learning is under machine learning, and all of those is under artificial intelligence. So coming back to our previous discussion, what are the best way to teach computer to become as smart as human? Frank Rosenblatt back in 1957, he's not a computer scientist, he's a biologist. He did a research on human brain because he wants to understand how the human brain works for various purposes, mainly medical purpose. And what he discovered in our human brain, when we learn something, we will form something called a neural network. And this is how knowledge is encoded in our brain. And this is how we store information or knowledge. So that's why there are certain things that we still remember, even though maybe we haven't touched it for many, many years, because it is still kept there. The neural network is still strong in our brain. For example, I'm not sure whether you still remember your 7 colors of rainbow from your SPM exam, and probably some of you use mnemonics. I still remember, orang putih sikit cara nak remember, Roy G. Biff, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and 7 colors of rainbow in the correct order. And why I can still remember, I guess the neural net based on many repetition is still there. So the keyword there is repetition. In order for a human to form this neural net, you need to repeat X number of times, usually it's around 7, in order to code this information in your brain as a neural net. So when the researcher compare this and they think, why not we try this? Why don't we come up with a way for a computer to learn something based on this neural net? So a basic explanation, the difference between ML and DL. Machine learning, one of the most challenging part is the second step, which is the feature extraction. For example, if you want to teach the computer to identify this is a cat, first and foremost, a human need to find the feature for this object. So how you define a cat? We are talking about normal cat. So a cat should have 2 triangle-shaped ear. A cat should have a whisker. A cat should have fur, and so on and so on. And that feature need to be encoded. Then you train using a data set of images. But the feature extraction is very difficult. You have to do it manually, usually by human, even though there are research try to automate that process, but it's not good enough. So you have to go back to human to do the feature extraction. The more feature that you need to encode, the more processing power that you need. And at the end of the day, and this is something I think very important, no matter whether it's machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and so on, what comes out at the end here, so meaning that after you have trained, you come up with a model. If you provide a new image of a cat and it goes through this network, what will come out at the end is just a number, it's a probability. So the computer will tell you there is an 80% probability that the image represents a cat. It's not 1 and 0. As a human, we usually know, oh, that is cat, that's not a cat. And how we learn, maybe during our childhood, we walk with our parents and we saw an animal and we ask our parent, what is that? And our parents cakap, pusa, kucing. So the first time, maybe we haven't encoded that in our neural net. Next day, you come across another cat and the same process occur and again until you have encoded the feature in your brain as a neural net and you can identify that. But of course, our brain doesn't tell us, oh, that 80% probability that that object is a cat. And our brain have this innate ability to come out with a decision. It's either 1 or 0. Of course, once in a while, we get confused and we say, oh, maybe or not, or something like that. But the feature extraction is the biggest issue and the biggest challenge. So moving on, deep learning, what it does, you don't have to know about feature extraction. If you want to train the computer about cat, what you need to do is to have a set of images of different cats. Doesn't have to be the same cat, any type of cats. Of course, there is a way to prepare the image. Usually we try to have a single object without any other distraction and so on and so on. But you remove the feature extraction. What you do, of course, you have to design the deep learning network. And then you just dump this image into this deep learning network that it will learn by itself about the feature without us telling it what is the feature. It will decide itself. What is the outer layer feature, what is the inner layer feature, and so on and so on. So in fact, to this date, that is still a black box. Researchers are still trying to understand how does it really work. There are things that we already understand, but there are a lot of things still not understood. So you remove the need for feature extraction. You have to have, unfortunately, a large data set as the training data. That's one of the disadvantages. At the end of the day, the output is the same. It's a probability, 80%, 70%, 90%. So what do? So you need to have this consultation with human expert. Is that sufficient or not? Now, what is generative AI? Generative AI is basically you need an input, and then it will go through this Gen AI architecture or algorithm, and it will provide you with an output. So that's why it's called generative AI, because it will provide you an output. Now, generative AI is not just limited to text as what you use in your ChatGPT. So you input your prompt, which is the question, and the ChatGPT will spit out the answer, also in text form. But apart from text, it covers all the other modality as well. I've been playing a lot with image under visual. I think last year, probably more than 100,000 images. I don't know where it is now. I think it's inside the computer. And what it said, and tiba-tiba our OneDrive quota diturunkan to 200 GB. I cannot upload my file now. It's still a big tick mark there, which I have to clean after this. So my current size for OneDrive is around 600 GB lah. Nak buang sayang, tak nak buang tak boleh synchronize. So something that I have to do this weekend. So text I think is quite matured. There's still some minor issue here and there. Image last year probably almost matured. There are some minor issue with the limbs and the text, but the latest model called Flux, maybe I will demonstrate later, seems to be able to solve the issue of text generation. And after text is usually the audio. If I have time, maybe I will demonstrate some of the audio generator or music generator. Tuan Haji Syarul 2 weeks ago already have a talk about that using Suno AI ataupun Audio AI to generate music. And after that, of course, the next biggest challenge is video. Video pun, if you probably come across some of the demo from OpenAI, they come up with their own video generator called apa tu? Dah lupa pula, alamak. Suno Sora AI. Oh my God, Sora AI. Anybody have a look at the Sora AI website? Not perfect, but the quality, if you go to the website, Sora, or you just search Sora AI, all the video that you see are all generated by AI. We call that text to video. For example, this one, the prompt is at the bottom here. Probably you cannot see, but if you go to the website, kenapa dia tak berjalan? Internet slow ke? Tak mungkin. Okay. All generated by AI. Probably they cherry pick, but they say they didn't cherry pick. Cherry pick meaning that sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, and they show only the good one. Is this available to the public? Unfortunately, no. Interesting story. When Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, went to Hollywood back in early July last month and showed this to the Hollywood studio owner, some of them are really amazed with this technology. In fact, there was a story that one of the studio owner ada orang please mute your audio. Nanti kelakar terdengar benda secret. It's okay. It happens in online session. So the story is one of the Hollywood studio owner, when he saw this technology from OpenAI, when Sam Altman presented to them, he canceled the expansion of his studio. He was planning to invest additional 100 million USD to expand his studio. But after he saw this technology, he said, I will keep this in view first. So this is Sora AI from, and apart from this, there are a few other startup as well. Kling AI from China company, and also Runaway ML Gen 3. So all those are actually producing really good video. Any questions so far? What is LLM? LLM is the latest breakthrough. Anything that you use when it comes to generative AI is powered by LLM. Probably you don't realize it. And the main enabler for generative AI is actually large language model. Why LLM? This one Dr. Suhaila ada dalam talian. Masih ada ke? Dr. Suhaila masih. Dr. Stephanie. All these are from the NLP group, Natural Language Processing. What they do, they want to teach computer to understand human language. For us, human is very straightforward, easy. And some of you probably can converse in multiple languages, but to teach a computer about language is really difficult because the context is difficult. If you take the word bank, B-A-N-K, I go to the bank yesterday. Another sentence is, we sit at the river bank yesterday. The same word, but totally different meaning. Of course, there are some other methods to recognize context, but it was not really working. So LLM is the breakthrough whereby they train this AI algorithm using a huge data set, and we call that the number of parameters. And the breakthrough comes in 2016. Google come up with a paper called Attention is All You Need. And in that paper, they come out with an algorithm called the transformer algorithm. And you probably can search about it. So that is the breakthrough actually. And still all the generative AI LLM is using that algorithm, the transformer model. So LLM, the trend now, just to share, and this is not the latest one, unfortunately. The size of the data set to train this LLM is correlated to the quality of the LLM itself. So in fact, if you use the GPT, atas tu kan dia ada cakap which GPT model that you are using. The latest, even the free version, you have access to GPT-4o. O stand for Omni. What is Omni? Omni is multi-model ataupun multi-channel. What happened is back in GPT-4, if you ask question to generate output in text, then there is a submodel in GPT-4 that do the processing. If you ask GPT-4 to generate an image, then there is another submodel in GPT-4. So from your perspective as a user, you see only one model called GPT-4, tapi dalam tu dia ada submodel. But for O, the omni-channel, somehow they managed to merge all those submodel into one model, and it can handle all the type of modality, the text, the image, and so on. So if you look at the size, actually there is another slide I forgot to add. The size of the model itself will indicate the quality of output. So the next big model from GPT-5, is probably 200 times bigger than the current model. The current model, GPT-4, if I'm not mistaken, the number of parameter is probably around 1 trillion parameters. And there are other some model as well. So to date, LLM is one of the hottest topic in computer science under the NLP, 350 plus model. And this model are divided into proprietary, the one used by ChatGPT, the GPT is proprietary, and there are also open source model. Llama, for example, interesting, this is actually from Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, but he released their LLM model called Llama for free, which is counterintuitive. Why Meta, which you know as a profit-oriented giant company, is releasing the model for free? And the reason is very simple, because they are one step behind OpenAI. So if they commercialize their model, they will lose to OpenAI. Even though their model is very good, the latest Llama model 3.1, that one is actually good. I don't think I have time to demonstrate that, but if you're interested, you can search about it. Llama 3.1, and there are so many others. So these are the comparison of the size. The GPT-4o is actually not that big. There are some other bigger model. Gemini is from Google. The one, the Ultra one, this is not the free version. The one that you can access from your Google account without paying is Google, I forgot the name, but Ultra is for the paid version at 1.5 trillion parameters. The next big one, GPT-5, or the one we are not sure. The one is humongous based on the current information that we have. But there is another direction as well. If you talk to those that does research in LLM, now the direction is reversing. I think they have reached the limit for the large model. And when you go up to this trillion number of parameters, that one is very costly. So just to give you an indicator how expensive it is, the ChatGPT that you use, the free version or the paid version, doesn't matter, is running it on an infrastructure, the data center that power all this ChatGPT. The cost to run the data center per day is 700,000 US dollar per day. So if you multiply by 30, is 21 million US dollar per month. If you multiply by the 12 per month, you can get the number. So in fact, from the business world, they know that OpenAI is not making money. The 20 USD dollar that you pay for subscription, that one is peanuts. It doesn't even cover their operational costs. So their business model is to hook all these big giant. Microsoft paid 10 billion USD to OpenAI last year to get access and license to their GPT model. And some other company also doing the same thing. So this is the money where they're actually targeting, not from the subscriber. So that's why it's very expensive. In fact, we are looking at a bubble burst, we call it in the tech world. All this hype now, there is a possibility OpenAI will get out from business, and whatever you learn today, ChatGPT, kaput, gone. But for sure, there will be something that replaces that, and from the open source, whatever it is. So whether you like it or not, even though we are talking about ChatGPT today, hopefully what you carry out from this talk today is the idea of using generative AI. Because not just ChatGPT, there are other platforms as well. Oh, cakap tak boleh berhenti, we are academician non-stop, 11 already. So why you want to use generative AI? Mempercepatkan, memudahkan, seperti Dr. Dayang mentioned just now. Apa lagi? To explore, and so on and so on. I think you have your own idea why you want to use generative AI / ChatGPT. Now let's talk about ChatGPT. I'm curious actually. Anybody of you have not used ChatGPT? Nazrin ada. Hi Nazrin. If any, just say yes in the chat box. I'm just curious. I'm not accusing you for not being up to date and so on. Tak ada. Because I know some memang tak guna pun, malas. Ataupun tak ada masa and so on and so on. But I'm sure all of you have come across ChatGPT ataupun a very heavy user of ChatGPT. But apart from ChatGPT, either you go for the free version or the paid version, the ChatGPT Plus ke Premium. I subscribe to that, 20 USD per month, around 100 ringgit per month. To me, it's worth it because I use it on daily basis. Tiap-tiap memang ada ChatGPT punya tab open all the time. And of course, the question is, if this is so useful, can you must pay for the subscription? That one kena tanya you must management ataupun come lah. And because it's not cheap, 100 ringgit per staff. If you have all academic, around 800 academics, you can multiply by that. So sebulan 8,000, betul ke? 800, 100 betul. Setahun, macam tak teruk sangat ya. They are releasing a ChatGPT campus version. They announced that last month, but I think they are rolling out in US at the moment. That one, two things which is different from the current ChatGPT. That one, I think they have the bulk license for the university. And the second one, there is an option to do Socratic approach. What is Socratic approach? Those from education domain probably have learned about ataupun tahu pasal Socratic approach. The problem with ChatGPT from the student perspective and why we are so worried about students using it, ChatGPT will give the answer 100%, and whether you like it or not. Of course, the student like it. But for us academic, we don't want that to happen because we want students to go through the process of learning. So the Socratic approach is where the AI tool or chatbot or whatever it is will ask question back. So if I ask ChatGPT using Socratic approach, can you give me the code for writing C program to sum 10 numbers, for example? So if you do that with ChatGPT now, it will give you the full program in C language, 100%. But Socratic approach, it will ask you again, what do you know about C programming, or what is your level of C programming? Beginner, intermediate, advanced, and so on and so on. So it will ask back. It doesn't provide the full answer, and it will converse with you until it will reach to the final solution. So dia takkan betul-betul bagi jawapan. It will go through the learning process. So that one is Socratic approach. One of the software currently use that approach is the Khan Migo from Khan Academy. But that one, unfortunately, also a paid version. I think $4 per month. That one, they're targeting school children in the US, Khan Migo, KHANMIGO. So apart from ChatGPT, feel free to explore other platforms as well. To me, the one that I think is good, ChatGPT, of course, still the king of the hill so far, but Claude is not far behind. In fact, for certain situation, Claude is probably ahead in terms of the response, and they also have something called artifact. I think you can also consult Chua Kim Man from the Faculty of Language. I think he's one of the active person that try to combine generative AI with teaching pedagogy. Perplexity, Gemini from Google, and Pi, all of these are also different type of chat platform using generative AI. Perplexity, I think, is free to use. Gemini, the standard model is free. Claude, they have the free version but limited. ChatGPT pun, the free version is limited. And this is changing. It used to be 3 hours after you reach certain number of token, after dia suruh rehat dulu, and 3 jam. But now I think the rest time is around 7 minutes. And this thing changing, unfortunately. Who come up with the idea for all this ChatGPT? This guy, Sam Altman, back in 2016. He and Elon Musk, surprise, surprise, established OpenAI. The term open in OpenAI, their initial, what do you call it, intention is to come up with an AI technology that benefit the general population for free. And tapi susah nak percaya kan. And all these people are startup people. And they make money. So for them to come up with an idea, yes, they want to give something for free. Initially, yes. But then they see, oh, this can make a lot of money. So now it's not really open AI, it's closed AI. So what happened? A year after they founded OpenAI, so 2016, 2017, Elon Musk left OpenAI simply because he believed there is no sufficient security mechanism to control the development of AI. That's what we discussed just now. He was so scared because he know, I think, and Elon Musk is a very smart, genius person, so he know what AI can do. So that's the story, some element. Why ChatGPT is useful? You know this already. All the good things about ChatGPT. Now the interface itself, I think this is something that I want to skip quite quickly. I believe you have come across. And this is the interface. Now you can use without having an account, but that is limited to GPT-4 mini, if I'm not mistaken. If you have an account, but still not paid, I think they will switch to GPT-4o, the standard model, but with limited number of tokens. So far, when I used almost half a day last night to create some of the slide content, it stopped me after maybe 50 interaction. Maksudnya tanya soalan, dapat jawapan, and after that, it asked me to rest for 7 minutes and I can continue again. With the paid version, so far I haven't come across the limitation because I'm quite a heavy user, but there is a limit even for the paid version, 20 USD per month. This is the interface, very basic interface. What you do is you will type your prompt in this box, then it will spit out the answer. But there is a technique that you need to use in order to get good answer, which we will discuss about this. Apart from that, whatever history of communication that you have is listed on the left-hand side column. You can hide this column if you want to. One thing that I found a bit strange, not a problem if you are not a heavy user of ChatGPT, there is no search functionality actually. Because if you do something for me even last week, then I have to scroll down to find those interaction. It's quite cumbersome and menyusahkan. So far, I don't think there is a search function. If you have come across search function, please let me know. So far, I have to scroll down manually to find whatever that I did a few days ago even, or even last month and last week. There is a mobile version as well, same functionality. One added functionality, you can actually record your prompt instruction, and you click on this icon microphone and you can actually ask the question, and it's very accurate. The prior technology to this is not really accurate, but if you use English and if you use this audio what do you call it method of asking question using your mobile phone is actually very accurate, and then after that it will answer back normally. Soalan, any question so far? Belum lagi 81 participant, thank you very much. Well, the session is recorded. If you want to refer back, later we'll provide the link to the recording plus the slide as well. Now, the key to successful or useful usage of ChatGPT and any AI chatbot is prompt engineering. In fact, for our student, this is probably one of the skill that will be very important very soon, I would say even now. And it cut across all discipline and domain, not just computer science students or IT student, but I believe for all students as well. So this is where you come into the picture, where probably you have to give some experience to your own student or train them to be a good prompt engineer. In computer science, we have this philosophy called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, meaning that the quality of the output is as good as the input, as simple as that. So you need to practice. So this is the investment on your side, and you have to try a few times before you come to the point that you know what you need to do in order to come up with a good output. Simply typing there boleh, trial and error is not an issue, heuristic, but of course you will spend a lot of time. So again, prompt engineering, please invest your time to learn. We don't have time to go into the details. There are a few framework coming out in crafting or creating a good prompt, and this is one of them. And what you need to do, if you look at this formula, in your prompt, you should have context, the task, the instruction, to clarify and to refine. Refine is actually the cyclic process. What I can share, I've been using this for quite some time, unlikely you will get the answer that you want or up to the level of the quality that you want just by a single interaction. Usually you have to keep repeating the process until you come to the right answer or to the level of quality that you want. And of course, over time, that will improve the more that you know about prompt engineering and so on. My personal advice, have a way to keep all the prompt because it's going to be the same. Let's say you want to create a marking rubric. So the instruction can be quite detailed depending on the nature of your assessment, assignment, project, and so on. But the bulk of the instruction is usually the same. So have your own way of keeping a diary of prompts, a collection of prompts. And no matter what you use, either you use OneNote, you use Notion, you use Google Keep. There are so many tools that you can use, or even you just keep it in a text file and put it into your OneDrive where you can access it easily. So keep all these prompts so that when you want to use it, you just copy and paste and you don't have to type. Computer scientists in there, there's a two nature and they are very lazy actually, but lazy in a good way. We like to use shortcut whenever it's possible. So that's the character of a good programmer and computer scientist. Perlu pemalas. So the basic technique, the good news is ChatGPT can tolerate high level of grammatical error or spelling error lah. And kalau ada a few words yang ada grammatical error, it's okay, go ahead aja. So ada masalah. You can actually understand some of the typos now. So it doesn't have to be a perfect question. Another question is, can you ask in BM? Yes. Can the answer be in BM or other languages? Yes, but to a certain degree of accuracy. So the issue with BM, the data set they use to train this model probably doesn't have sufficient corpus of BM. That one is a basic given thing when it comes to NLP. So if you compare the population of Indonesia, 220 million, to us, 34 million, of course, the data set for Indonesian language is much bigger than the Malay or Malaysian language PM. So that's why when you ask question and expect answer in BM, most of the time it's okay, but you will get some Indonesian words or terms for sure. So nothing much you can do, like you have to correct that manually. For English, no problem. It's perfectly correct spelling wise and grammar wise. And this is probably the telltale sign if a student or even us is using generative AI. Once upon a time, before other AI, we expect students to be perfect in their spelling and grammar in their report and so on. But now, And I love to see some grammatical error in student report because that is an indication that they are doing their own job rather than using AI. And of course, for us, if we use AI, we have to be careful as well. As long as you are transparent about it, I think if someone asks, do you use any AI to assist you with this task? Nothing wrong to answer yes. And there is a self of what should I say? Degree of what's the term I should use? Self harga diri. That if we mention AI is being used, then we lose our value as an academics. So maybe I do feel that once in a while. Once in a while. Now that I did it. Explicit instruction. So as much as possible, the more details and more explicit the instruction, then the better output that you will get from ChatGPT. And this apply to any of the other platform as well. Now, this is one of the, I would say, the simplest thing that you do in order to get a good outcome, system message. Now, this ChatGPT, it knows a lot. It is a general purpose knowledge machine, I would say. But the problem is when you are not being specific about your question and you are not scoping ChatGPT to a specific domain or scope, then most likely you will get a very general answer. So what is this system message all about? You try to scope ChatGPT to a specific domain. It sounds funny lah. For example, you are an AI language model with expertise in psychology. When I tried this many months ago, years ago, when I first started using ChatGPT, in my mind, why I need to tell ChatGPT this and whether they follow this or not. But surprisingly, yes. So when you reduce the scope of ChatGPT to a very specific scope, then the answer, of course, they're limited to that particular scope. So this is a given thing. I would suggest that you have your own instruction to your ChatGPT. If you're from the business domain, you're from the social sciences, and in fact, you can go to the subdomain as well. If you want the answer to be in a very specific subdomain, then you put the instruction here. Okay, system message. Now, by the way, all the things that I shared is from this blog or this website, and there are so many nowadays. You just search ChatGPT sheet, CHEAT, Ada banyak lah, and techniques and so on, and you can just copy and paste. So most of them are usable. Now, again, contextual prompt. So this one, let's say you want to find a good restaurant. If you just find a good restaurant, of course, it doesn't know which area that you are referring. So you need to provide the context, either location-wise, age-wise, gender-wise, whatever it is. So you yourself is the expert in your domain. You know what is the context of your question. So try to limit the context. Now, one thing that have changed, and there are things that we change from time to time. Once upon a time, back in 2023, middle of last year, ChatGPT knowledge is only limited to the point where the dataset was created. So that one of the biggest challenge actually. I remember GPT-3, the model prior to GPT 3.5, the dataset used to train was until 2023, October or September, I cannot recall exactly. So one of the biggest issue, anything that you ask that require the knowledge beyond September 23, then it doesn't know. It will tell you that I'm a AI model, something that my data is up until September 2023 and so on. But with the current GPT model, they allow ChatGPT to go to the internet and search for relevant information beyond its own dataset. So that's the good thing. Even for the free version can access the internet and find the information. Wih, 11.20. Sorry about that. Can you go through yourself the basic technique? Later, when I show the use case, then some of this will appear again. So bias mitigation, where you need to ask in the right way to ensure there is no bias. We will limit the Q&A to probably the last 10 minutes. I don't think I can finish by 11, before 11:50. So 11:50, then we can go for Q&A. Now there's something called single shot, zero shot, and multi-shot. Those are basically a repeated cycle of question and answer until you can get ChatGPT to come up with the answer that you need. Role-based almost the same like just now, the system message. So you can ask ChatGPT to become a cook. You can ask ChatGPT to become a mechanic, and so on and so on. And the whole idea is you want to guide ada echo sekejap. Prof. Shahidul, can you mute yourself, Prof. Shahidul? Yeah, okay, thank you, Prof. So the role base is the same like system messages now. You want ChatGPT to come up with its own response based on the role. And it works actually. Now, the COT, the chain of thought, basically what you need to do, and still the current weakness of ChatGPT, it is really dumb on mathematics. It's not ChatGPT's fault because the data set used to train ChatGPT doesn't have enough use cases about mathematics. So if you use if you use ChatGPT to come up with an answer with mathematics, then it will definitely come up with the wrong answer. But what you can do to improve, you can have example. If you look at the right hand side, this one, the Q&A is from you. So you input the Roger has 5 tennis balls, blah, 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 and you provide a sample answer. So when you press enter, ChatGPT will understand the Q&A. Oh, this is the question. This is about mathematics, and this is the step to solve it. So when you ask the next question, this Q, the cafeteria had 23 apples, then it can follow your previous step and come up with a step-by-step of how it get to the answer. And most of the time, I have to say most of the time, because I tried this and sometimes there is an error as well. You will get to the right answer. If you simply ask a mathematical question, I can guarantee you will get the wrong answer. So I think the conclusion is, please do not use ChatGPT for mathematics at this point of time. Probably they will improve, right? So change of thought. Now this is the thing. If you want ChatGPT to follow a specific format, this is actually a LaTeX format. Some of you during your PhD, probably you were forced to use LaTeX, especially on the STEM or science domain. I know that a lot of engineering lecturers have to go through this. My supervisor last time was a bit flexible. He told me, Joe, you want to use LaTeX, that is good. But if you want to use Word as well, this is okay. Sampai use LaTeX, you know the advantage of using LaTeX, but not easy to format. So what you can do, ChatGPT understand LaTeX, but you need to use this template in order to force ChatGPT to come out with output using LaTeX. What it does, it has access to LaTeX markdown engine actually, but it's an open source engine. And if you want to force ChatGPT, not to say force, guide ChatGPT to use certain format, then you come up with your own template. It's a trial and error. I cannot guarantee all the format will work, but most of the well-known format, the text, HTML, whatever it is, usually ChatGPT can follow. So you need to provide this template on your own first in order for you to come up with this. Now use case, banyak ni actually. For this one, I forgot to remove this, sorry. Semalam tengah buat, this is actually my general, bukan XXX, nanti ingat lain pula. This is the empty template slide that I use to generate all the other template. Sorry about that. So all I want to touch, if you look at the process flow for us as academic, if you divide that to pre-semester, during the semester, and the post-semester, you can use ChatGPT or any form of AI platform to assist you. There's a keyword, assist, not to replace you. What I want to say, and probably will repeat many, many times, at this point of time, I strongly encourage you to double check everything. I think that's our duty as an academics, not to blindly accept any output from any of the AI platform. So far, it is good. Maybe once in a while, there is a discrepancy, not incorrect discrepancy, but I think it is an embarrassing situation. And if you simply accept what it is without double checking, triple checking, and so on. So I leave it to you how detailed you want to check and recheck and so on. But as you go on, then you can get the idea and the sense of whether you come up with the correct answer or not. So what I want to focus is probably on the brainstorming, maybe on the content, and maybe on the assessment. For marking, even though yes, you can use it, how it works, if it's an electronic document assignment submitted as Word or PDF, you can, of course, you need to have the rubric first, okay? And then you can dump one by one student report into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to help you with the marking. I've tried this, it actually works, but I don't feel right asking ChatGPT to do the marking. I still feel that marking is still the domain of us as a human. Analysis and reporting, this one probably not something critical. What I was exploring, which probably I will share later. Our email have its own built-in analysis when you upload your final exam and everything at the end of the semester. Baru lagi kan, last week baru panas daripada oven, your marks. There is some form of analysis and the chart in the CLO and so on, and even the marking assessment. There is a chart how many pass and so on, but very basic. ChatGPT can do more than that. Actually, it can deep dive into the result and probably look at why you get the result or why the student get the result. Of course, it's still limited because we don't have other information about the student apart from what you submitted to my marks. All right, moving on. Now, let's say you want to come up with a new course. This is very popular if you are a young lecturer, because young lecturer usually the victim from the faculty whenever there is new program or CQI ataupun curriculum review or ada new program lah, ODL ke macro credential ke APEL A, B, C and so on. You have to come up with new program, new courses and so on. We can do this. I think all of us are being trained and we are capable of coming out with all these things that I've showed. But coming back to our very early discussion, it speed up the process and mempercepatkan dan mempermudahkan, make things much simpler. Can it replace a question mark at the moment? But never say never. So what you can do, I will go through quickly. You go to your ChatGPT, okay? Not now. I think in order for you to go through this in detail, maybe there is a need for a workshop, a one-day workshop. Now, this one brainstorming. This one, I don't have a system message and so on. Oh, ada. Actually, atas ni ada system message. You are an expert academician, lecturer with 30 years of experience in computer science and IT. So this is my system message. And it works actually. And if you don't have this, then the answer tend to be more general. And then this is the question, brainstorm the content for a course for undergraduate program titled Digital Economy. Maybe I can put some more details. Maybe I can put the context of our university, Unimas in Sarawak and so on and so on. But at this point, I want to see this first. So this is a very broad context, walaupun some other scoping. And this is the answer that I get. And why I go for this brainstorming, I just want to see in general what is the areas. Now, coming back to our early discussion, unfortunately, you have to be the domain expert. You cannot expect if you do not know the content about this topic to be able to distinguish this is correct or not. So to me, this one looks okay. Under digital economy, the module is a long list of answer up until module 6 actually, but I only show the snapshot. So to me, I'm not saying that I'm an expert in digital economy, but I do have knowledge about digital economy. It looks okay to me. But what I do not like about the answer, if you look at the bottom here, they mention Amazon, Alibaba, and so on. Nothing wrong with that. Those are the global players when it comes to digital economy. But I want to steer the brainstorming more to the local context. So what I can do, I repeat the process. So this is a continuous process in one chat interaction. It's not a different chat interaction. It's the same chat interaction. So the good thing about ChatGPT for that particular tab or the interaction, it can remember the previous discussion. In fact, the latest ChatGPT, it can remember all your interaction, even the previous one. Previously, you are limited to your own current interaction. If you create a new tab, then you will forget the previous one. The one yang dulu lah. Yang sekarang, it has a memory cut across all your interaction, and especially your current interaction. So what I do, I say repeat the above, but add the context of Malaysia and Sarawak, and I get a more specific response. Mungkin tak nampak, I apologize, but you can download the slide. Now I can see Shopee, Lazada, Touch and Go, Boost. So those are the local player when it comes to digital economy. And I'm happy about this. Ada Mudah, ada Carousel. So the content looks good, brainstorming. And now I can move to cost outline. Now, if you do cost outline, what you need to do, you need to be able to tell ChatGPT the format for the course outline. Of course, every university have its own structure for the course outline. So the best way for you to do this, get a sample of any existing course outline for UDIMAS, the one that you are currently teaching ataupun from your colleague and so on. You can dump that file, it can be in Word or PDF, into your ChatGPT. So just tarik, letakkan dalam your ChatGPT. In fact, for the free version, it can do this as well. Before this, I think a few months ago, ChatGPT 3.5, you are unable to do that. Only the paid version where you're able to upload the file. Of course, there is a limit on the size of the file or the number of pages. So far, the free version of ChatGPT, I tried up to 100 pages, still okay. Maybe it has some limit. I know there is a limit, but I'm not sure about the maximum number of pages. So you need to try and error. So once I dump this, my instruction is, this is an example of course outline. Based on the example, please write a course outline for the previous digital economy. So saya sambung balik from the previous one. And then it'll come up all this course outline. First glance looks okay, but I think there are a few things that I would like ChatGPT to improve. What I noticed, the LO is too many. Usually for our course outline, I think the maximum that you can go probably 4. 5 okay, but we got a comment from our external evaluator for our what I call it, board of study, and that usually for computer science you don't go beyond 3 or even 4. So that is one. And second one, I noticed the references is not proper. The references, this is another problem with the previous version of ChatGPT. Previous ChatGPT of ChatGPT, when it comes to references, totally useless. I'm not talking about the current one. A few months ago, ChatGPT 3.5, all the references, no matter how good it looks, is all made up references. But now it has changed. Why it has changed? Because it can access the internet and find the proper references, not from its own data set, but from external sources where it can extract relevant information. So the one that provided here, which I didn't screenshot, is just a list of articles and so on, which I do not like. I want the references to be in textbook format. Another one that I also asked ChatGPT to improve, I want ChatGPT to allocate how many weeks per learning unit, LU, because in the current output, there is no indication, even though that's not required by our course outline, but I want to know how ChatGPT divide that into the weeks. So what I need to do, these are the instruction. The one that I show here, this is my own instruction. So again, the message is, jangan malas. You need to be rajin in order to get a good output, and you can copy and paste this. So if you repeat this many times, then you keep all this instruction in a file somewhere. So what I want ChatGPT to improve, assume a 14-week semester. Add tentative duration in weeks for each of the LU. Consolidate the learning outcome to only 3. Maksudnya, tengok yang 5 tadi, then try to merge them or whatever it is into only 3 LO, and find 3 suitable textbooks as references, and include the link to the references. So if you look at the improvement, yes, LO, consolidate into 3. To me, looks okay. Bloom taxonomy, ada analyze, ada evaluate, and so on. But probably what I have to add manually is to add the cognitive level from the Bloom, the C and the A and so on. The LU it add this week, again, to me, this is something that you have to decide. You are the subject matter expert, the domain expert. Is it enough 2 weeks for this particular introduction? What ChatGPT did when I asked this question, it divide equally across the 6 LU into equal number of weeks lah, 2, 2, 2 and so on up to 12 weeks. Yang dua tu dia tak letakkan, I think, as a buffer. So that one is a simplistic way of ChatGPT to allocate because it doesn't have context on the content of the LUs. So probably you have to adjust that. And the references is good. This one I didn't change anything. The 5 are actually suggested by ChatGPT. I double check on all the links, all exist, and to me this is acceptable. Walaupun ada 2015, I think in terms of textbook, maybe it's too old, but when it comes to digital economy, this is the seminal textbook lah. You cannot run away from this, from Don Tapscott. So far so good with course outline. 11:36. Now slide content, I think we spend a lot on slide and as a lecturer, especially for new course lah. Kalau yang course lama tu, it's okay. And ada lecturer during my study time last time, ada yang lectures not 16 tahun tak pernah berubah. And I also guilty of that lah. Ada dah mengajar 10 kali pun, macam sama saja. Some topic doesn't change that much, but it doesn't make sense for IT to have a lecture note or slide that does not change over 10 generation. So what you can do? There are good news and bad news. What you can use ChatGPT for, you can use ChatGPT to come up with the slide outline. So what I did, again, continuing from the previous interaction, so just now, ChatGPT lists all the LU just now. So I asked ChatGPT to come up with the slide for LU number 2 ke? Sekejap. Or LU1, sorry, Learning Unit 1 above. They continue from the previous interaction. Some other information, 2 hours lecture, and these are the outline. Why I focus on the outline? Because there are 2 options. You can ask ChatGPT to come up with the actual content, but it doesn't work well most of the time. So what I suggest, come with the outline first. So see whether the outline is okay or not. So this is the outline suggested by ChatGPT. It looks okay to me as an introduction to digital economy. Then you repeat the process as required, zoom in into the actual content itself. So kalau dah malas sangat, then you look at, okay, slide number 2. Create content for slide number 2 using relevant sources. So this is what ChatGPT suggested. So you can use this as part of your slide content. But again and again, you are the domain expert. Make sure you double check whether these are all okay from your expertise point of view and repeat the process. So after LU1 just now, repeat for LU2 and so on and so on. Now, what can you do with this? Of course, you create your own PowerPoint. The good news is, or probably not so good news lah, you can actually generate PowerPoint using ChatGPT, but it looks lousy to be honest. But at least it is in a PowerPoint form. So very simple instruction. Generate PowerPoint slide for the above. Above meaning that for this particular content. It does create the PowerPoint, and this is actually using the free version. But format-wise, the UI, the look and feel, to me, I'm very particular about this. This one, as a student, if I see this, so lousy, this lecturer. And then after those interaction, malam tadi punya cerita, so this is fresh from the oven. I get this message because I was using the free version in order to come up with the slide. I have the paid version, but I think I want to try the free version so that I know the limit. So dia cakap, pergi rehat dulu 7 minit. Okay, rehat lah, go to the toilet, make some coffee, tea, and then come back after 7 minutes, then continue again. As I said, I really like to have visual in my slide. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And I do spend a lot of time come out with visualization. To me, that is very important, especially for the first year and second year cohort, because they are still visually oriented. Now, good news and bad news. The free version of ChatGPT is not capable of generating images, only available for the premium version. So that's the bad news. So for example, I created this image using the premium version. And of course, you need to learn how to write the prompt to create image. And unfortunately, that is out of the scope of this talk. But you can easily find tutorials online. The good news is, apart from ChatGPT Premium to generate image, you can go to other platform. This one, if you are a geek, a nerd, and you like to get your hands dirty, and most important, you have a computer with this minimum requirement. And siapa yang main game, those from the engineering, maybe you have this kind of computer. And you need to have a computer with a GPU with VRAM at least 12 GB. That's quite big. Right? Those that play games know this requirement. And there are a few platforms. This one I'm using Confi UI, and the model, the image model is Flux. This is the latest one. And as I mentioned, Flux is a model that seems to be able to solve the text generation issue with text to image generator. It's not easy for AI to generate text. And picture, okay, tak ada masalah. But text, this is the breakthrough. This one fresh from the oven, Flux, last week, dia baru release. But the requirement to run this is quite high. So this one out of the topic, siapa yang berminat, contact me, we can have another session. You can also search, there are so many platform. Copilot, you can go to Copilot. It used to be unlimited, but they changed the policy, unfortunately. Per day, you can create 15 generation. One generation is 4 images. So this is a sample that I get from this particular keyword or prompts. Create a cartoon illustration, Fasad. Anybody of you follow Fasad punya cartoon? And so on. But this raises a question. Is it copyright legally allowable and to use the style like Fasad, Pixar, and so on? That one is another discussion. Apart from that, you can go to this Leonardo AI. The image quality is really good, tapi per day pun dia ada limit. So yang just now, sorry, the 15 generation is per day. And habis today, then you have to wait for tomorrow and it will replenish. If you want to get more token, then you have to pay for it, unfortunately. Similar with Leonardo. Leonardo, every day it will provide you with 100 credits, if I'm not mistaken. And then you need around maybe 10 credit per image generation. Per generation, it will give you 4 images. Google Gemini, this one is free actually. So far there is no limit, but the image quality is so-so compared to Gemini, compared to Leonardo dengan apa tadi, Copilot. But to certain use case, I think it's sufficient. I tried this, the cross-section of hard for biology. Since I'm not from this domain, I cannot tell you whether this is correct or not. And we have to get advice from either the medical people ataupun maybe FRST lah. Macam tak betul lah, but I don't know. Another one, Crayon. Crayon, again, so far there is no limit, but the image quality is not as good, and there is a watermark here, the logo Crayon. So maybe the question is, all these image platform, starting from ChatGPT, this one is Flux Confi UI, Copilot, Leonardo, Gemini, Crayon, and so on. Who own the copyright? For non-commercial purpose, for education purpose, okay, no problem whatsoever. But if you want to start selling all the images generated from all these platforms, sometimes there is a special license. Okay, so you have to read the term and condition. Now, so what I use this extensively, as I mentioned, I like visualization. The before is for computer architecture course. This is a plain vanilla lecture note with text only. I look at this also, I feel sad. I cannot imagine how the student feel looking at this. So as much as possible, I try to add some visualization. Of course, the visualization have to have some meaning. For example, this is John von Neumann. He's one of the prominent scientists in computer architecture. It looks like him, actually. I double checked. And some other visualization, and in order to spice up the slide. So I've done this for several subjects or courses that I've taught. Now moving on. Wow, banyak masa tak ada. Okay, sekejap. This one, activity in class. So let's say you want to have a quiz during the class and so on. Again, the same thing. Ask ChatGPT, come up with activity, and it will give you all these things. I'm not touching on video and audio. There are tools to create your own avatar, in fact, to create your own video and so on. This is probably useful if you are involved in MOOC, ODL, online learning, and so on, micro-credential. I've seen some of the video generated from this platform. They are really good. You can upload your image, you can create your own avatar to impersonate you with your own voice, and it works very well. Unfortunately, most of this platform at the moment are proprietary and you have to subscribe. They give you a trial, but that is not sufficient. So that's the state of all these tools at the moment. Of course, there will be new tools, maybe free tools or open source tool, and hopefully we will follow up with this soon. Now, the next one, assessment, excuse me. What you can do, again, this is to assist, if you ask me. So don't blindly use this to replace yourself to generate question. It can speed up the process. What I did is to continue from the previous interaction with ChatGPT on the digital economy. So the question is very simple. Generate multiple choice questions below with the answer related to the topic. Then it will come up with all these multiple choice question. I double check, looks good, and the answer is correct. And the answer is actually shown at the end of the interaction. But what is missing, again, I'm sure you have to do this. Where is the Bloom taxonomy, the cognitive level? So what you need to do, first I actually check, does ChatGPT understand the Bloom taxonomy cognitive level? Yes, the answer is yes. It recognizes it. In fact, it referred to the latest updated Bloom taxonomy, not the previous one, the one that is used by UNIMAS and all other UA, the 6th level. If you notice anything wrong, please let me know. But I think I double check, it looks correct. So once I know that ChatGPT understands the Bloom taxonomy, then I create my own format of question. So I assume each level above is denoted as this format. And we like to use this format. Maybe certain faculty use different format. Create 10 questions. Only limit to C6, C5, and C4. And at the end of the question, indicate the, what do you call it, cognitive level, and bold the answer. So I don't want the answer to be at the end of the interaction. And again, it generated everything correctly, have the question at the cognitive level, and so on and so on. But I noticed, even though it uses the keyword from the cognitive level, something doesn't feel right. When you say design, it doesn't reflect that the question is asking design per se. It just use the keyword design. That's my personal feeling. So I'm not satisfied about this. And then the next iteration, I asked ChatGPT to come out with a scenario base for this higher level cognitive Bloom taxonomy. So I can see now there is an improvement. Students have to understand the scenario, look at the question, and answer based on this option. And this is probably more reflective of the Bloom taxonomy, but it's not perfect. You still have to look at this and judge whether this fulfill the requirement. Different domain, probably different. This one is only for computer science, so feel free to test this. And hopefully, maybe CAM can have a way to input all these use cases from the different domain and faculty. What else? The single shot, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, this is what I did. What I did, I find an example of Bloom taxonomy from the internet, copy that, put it into ChatGPT, and then ask the question at the end. This is an example to create C6 question, create 4 questions at C6 based on LU1. So use this example and it come up with this output. And again, it looks okay to me for level 6 creating. MCQ is not really effective for the higher order for Bloom, creating and so on. I think that one, the more appropriate type of question might be structured ataupun essay lah. So moving on, short answer boleh sama saja, but what I think you should do, complete the lecture note first, and then go lecture note by lecture note or LU by LU, dump your PowerPoint ataupun your PDF lecture note, and then based on this lecture note, come up with the short answer question. That is more appropriate, because if you rely on the outline only just now, then I don't think it is accurate. Because ChatGPT needs to know what is your focus and scope of your lecture note. From there, then you can generate question. So again, the same process, nothing different. This is what I asked ChatGPT. Again, you have to have as much detail as possible. Only generate based on 4, 5, 6 Bloom taxonomy, show question and answer scheme. And for each of the answer scheme, allocate the marks appropriate to it. So you can see there is a question, there is a Bloom taxonomy, there is answer scheme, there is mark allocated. I think, of course, obviously the mark is not reflective maybe of the true nature of the question and answer, because ChatGPT doesn't have the context of how to allocate the marks. So this is something that probably you have to adjust. Does this question or this answer constitute as 1 mark? To me, it looks okay for this particular question. Another one is the nested short answers. Instead of the single short answer, you can have nested short answer. Again, the same thing. I have my own template. Feel free to recycle this or use this and update this. And then ask ChatGPT and come up with this. Okay. Essay, same thing. You provide the instruction, come up with the essay. There is an answer scheme. Again, looks okay to me based on the content of the lecture note just now. Now, when it comes to assignment and project, there are multiple ways to do this. For existing course, I think the easiest approach that you can use, you probably need 2 documents. One is the course outline, dump this into ChatGPT, wait for instruction, and then a sample from previous semester. So that ChatGPT understand the format. If not, then you have to tell ChatGPT exactly this assignment constitute of what, and what. And ada marking scheme, ada instruction, ada preamble or the general instruction, and so on and so on. So that one, once you do it, then you can copy and paste and keep it, or you can have a sample from your previous semester, dump it here, and then the instruction, use it so that ChatGPT can create something similar. So the next interaction, to me looks good for this particular course. And then the good thing is, kalau dah terlalu malas kan, if you're too lazy, the free version also save the above answer into a Word document. Looks okay to me. And adalah perlu touch up here and there, tambah page number, tambah header and footer and so on. But it looks okay. And if I want to edit or amend, probably less than 5%. But again, double check. Don't assume everything is okay. Please double check again and again. Now, the last thing that probably I want to share is the marking rubric, and this is required by course portfolio. And sometimes we don't really bother about marking rubric. Especially yang dah tua-tua macam saya lah. And dulu-dulu mana ada marking rubric. Only the recent one that we have to comply. Of course, there are pro and con. It's good to have so that everything is standardized. Again, what you should do to make things much easier, use any existing rubric that you have. So I recycle from another course actually, because to tell ChatGPT to come up with this output in table format with the different level is not that straightforward. I have to play around with this many times until I get the right instruction manually without this example, in order for ChatGPT to come up with the right format and template and so on. So based on this format, which is a standard rubric, I'm sure every faculty, even every department have their own way of writing the rubric. It doesn't matter. If you have existing rubric, then dump it here and ask ChatGPT to come up with the rubric. This one related to the previous assignment, this one. So it's a continuous process. Can you stop and do something else and come back? Boleh, tak ada masalah. But try to keep it in one interaction, not in different tab or window. So this is the output. One try, you come up with this. To me, it looks okay. To me, it looks okay. Keyword is good. The marks allocation is okay, everything, and so on and so on. I cannot guarantee if you try, but it's a trial and error heuristics. So with that, I think the last one, give me 1 or 2 minutes. What is the implication? Of course, job losses and job created, but the question is for us, are we still relevant as a lecturer? Can AI replace us? Well, my personal opinion, most of the things that we do, of course, AI can somehow complement and maybe replace. But there is one element that make us still relevant, is the human touch or human factor. No matter what it is, I think the students still want to interact with a human being. And there is something hard to explain about the human touch. If not, we are gone long time ago with teachers and educators and academics and so on. The human touch is still not being able to be replaced by the current AI. Not impossible, but I can probably sleep well tonight knowing that until I retire, then I still cannot reach the level of human interaction. With that conclusion, lupa nak buat, sorry, I forgot to add the conclusion. I hope you get some useful knowledge from our interaction today. A lot more to do, a lot more to practice, and hopefully we can share this in another forum. This one was just to share lah, kan, I have an Instagram with all the images I generated using AI. Ada TikTok juga, but not so active. And this one probably not relevant to you. This is a Facebook group where we discuss about image generation. With that, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Sorry about the very short time for Q&A. If any, I pass back to Dr. Dayang. Dr. Dayang, back to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johari. So we have 3 minutes for question and answer. If you have any question, just turn on the mic and Dr. Johari will entertain the questions from the audience. Kalau tak dapat buka mic pun boleh chat box, nanti saya boleh bacakan. So I have someone WhatsApp me just now. Ada satu soalan, which is due to the use of AI, is there any possibilities to change the rubric for final year project since majority of the marks coming from the written report? Sebab it's stated that some of the student punya report is too good to be true. And then it means that can we reduce the marks for the reports but change to more, meaning that change to oral presentation more lah compared to the written report. And how is the implementation di FIT? Macam tu, dia soalan.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Two major issues actually, Dr. Dayang. One is how to reallocate the mark weightage. So I understand the issue because at the moment we don't have a foolproof way to check whether the report is using AI or not. In the early beginning of ChatGPT, there was a tool called Zero GPT and GPT-0. And at that point, it can so-called accurately detect. But 2 weeks after that, that become obsolete because ChatGPT improved the generation of the output. And unfortunately, the tool become almost useless. And now, in fact, there is no good enough tools in order to detect whether the content is AI generated. Turnitin have AI feature detection, but that one is totally not accurate. It gives you a percentage, but it's not accurate. ChatGPT or OpenAI, they promise to have their own detection mechanism, but not sure when they will release that. So coming back to the question, the first one, yes, you can reallocate the marks to the presentation. I agree at the moment that is the only foolproof way to detect whether the student understand what they are doing. And for example, for us at FIT, usually the project is done using programming. And for us, it doesn't matter. Programming, if you want to use any tools to generate a program, to me, that is not relevant. But my question is, do you understand what is happening in the program? If you can explain to me how it works, to me, it's okay. But the bigger problem is, part and parcel of FYP is the ability to write the report itself. In certain domain, that is crucial. So if we reallocate the marks from the report to the oral presentation or the what do you call it, FYP symposium or whatever it is, then we are telling the student, or we are so-called leaving the problem as it is. So I think a better solution is let's find a way how the student can use ChatGPT. I don't think we can stop ChatGPT. I think there's a given thing. No matter what rules we come out, no matter what tools we use in order to stop ChatGPT, then it's not going to work. In fact, some university in the US already changed their position about ChatGPT. They say, yes, you can use, but there is a certain guideline. So I think at UNIMAS level, this is really a high time and very important to come out with the guideline on how a student can use ChatGPT to assist them and how or what are the restrictions. But the report itself, I understand, is very difficult, almost impossible at this point of time to differentiate or detect. So the only way for us to really determine whether the student is doing their own work is to shift the assessment mainly to the oral presentation, and then we can accept the report as it is. All right, thank you. Lagi soalan?
All right, thank you, Dr. Johari. So another question ada tak? I think tak ada kot. So I think I can wrap up conclude the webinar. So today we have listened on the different of AI, deep learning, machine learning, talking about LLM and also a few other AI tools that we can use. Selain ChatGPT, we have Leonardo, we have Sora, we have Copilot and so on. And very much thank you, Dr. Johari, for the insightful and useful webinar for today. Hopefully, all of the information that given to us today, can we implement it into our teaching and learning for next semester, hopefully, to help us to make it more interactive with the students. So for that, on behalf of CALM, I would like to thank you again, Dr. Johari, for today, and also to all the participants. And without and before I end the session, I would like to inform on the next session, which is this one is on the embracing generative AI for advanced educators in teaching and learning, which is from Associate Professor Technologist Dr. Shamsul Nur Azlan Muhammad. And this one is face-to-face session. And this one, the seats are limited, so you can register in the link provided by the CALM in the email later. And also we have also another session with Mr. Chua Kiman with the infusing AI tools into gamified learning, which is on 11th of September. This one is I think is active learning space also at FANG. So both of these, the seats are limited. So if you are interested, please register as soon as possible lah. So with that, I would like to thank you once again to all participants and also to Dr. Johari. So see you again in next webinar. For those who are not yet scan the QR attendance, Dr. Azra boleh buka balik QR attendance?